Beneath the endless blue lies a silence few have ever dared to enter. The surface of the sea sparkles with sunlight, but below there is another world, vast, lightless, and untouched. Here, in the deepest trenches, mountains rise and valleys sink into blackness, hiding secrets older than time itself. This is a place where coral kingdoms grow without light, where creatures shimmer like living constellations, and where the planet still breathes in ways we barely understand. We are about to descend into that silence, to journey into the heart of the ocean's greatest mystery, to uncover realms shaped by pressure, darkness, and eternity. If the unknown calls to you, if you believe the earth still holds secrets waiting to be told, join us. Like, share, and subscribe, and together we'll step into a world few have seen, but none can forget. The journey begins with a slow fall through water that grows darker with every meter. Light fades, and with it, our familiar world. What remains is pressure, a force so immense it could crush steel, yet life survives here. This chapter explores the descent into the trenches, the shifting colors, the fading sounds, and the haunting transformation of the ocean as sunlight surrenders to darkness. We witness creatures that flicker like fireflies in the abyss and learn how these waters guard kingdoms unseen by human eyes. It is a chapter of awe, of quiet, of crossing thresholds into the unknown. In total darkness, coral thrives. Vast cities of living stone stretch across unseen valleys, building towers and walls without a single ray of light. This chapter reveals the architecture of abyssal coral, the strange chemistry that sustains it, and the creatures that weave their lives among the living structures. The absence of sunlight becomes a story of resilience, showing us how beauty and survival exist, even in the most unforgiving places. Here we meet the guardians of the deep, fish with lanterns glowing from their heads, translucent beings with bodies like glass, and predators that hunt in silence. Each creature tells a story of adaptation, bodies built for crushing depths, senses sharpened for endless darkness. This chapter unveils not just their forms, but their mysteries. Why some glow, why others vanish into shadow, and what survival means when every breath is a miracle. Beneath coral kingdoms and strange creatures lies the restless earth itself. Hydrothermal vents, volcanic rifts, and shifting plates shape the floor of the trenches. Here, fire and water meet in violent beauty. This chapter dives into the pulse of the planet, a reminder that the ocean floor is alive, breathing heat and minerals into the cold abyss, creating life where none should exist. It is the hidden heartbeat of Earth, echoing in silence. In the final descent, we confront the deeper mystery, what these kingdoms, creatures, and fires of the deep tell us about ourselves. The trenches are time capsules, holding echoes of the earliest forms of life. They are also mirrors, reflecting our hunger for exploration and the fragility of what we have yet to understand. This chapter closes with a vision of the abyss as both cradle and frontier, eternal, untamed, and waiting. The ocean begins like a mirror, restless with light. Waves dance under the sun, glittering like scattered diamonds. At the surface it feels endless, but familiar, a world we think we know. Yet every drop of water is only a veil, and beneath that veil lies an empire untouched. To enter it is to leave behind the comfort of sky and horizon, and to step into a silence that grows heavier with each passing meter. The descent starts gently, a slow drift downwards, where the sun still filters through. Colors shimmer in blue and green, fractured by ripples above. Schools of silver fish scatter like shards of light, their bodies flashing in unison. The sea is alive with sound, clicks, whistles, the distant hum of unseen engines. It is a world still tethered to the surface, But the tether does not hold for long. With every breath of the descent, the light fades. Blues deepen into indigo, shadows thicken, familiar shapes blur into outlines, then vanish into the gloom. The water cools, pressing closer, as though it carries the weight of secrets it does not wish to share. At 100 meters, sunlight fractures into beams, weak and trembling. At 200, the beams are gone. A dim twilight spreads across the body, an oceanic dusk that never turns to dawn. Sound shifts too, muffled, distant, strange. The sharp chatter of the surface becomes muted echoes. Even the pulse of the heart feels louder in the chest, as though the body itself is the last reminder of the world above. Here begins the twilight zone, the mesopelagic realm. Life clings to this boundary between worlds. Tiny organisms flicker with bioluminescence, drifting like sparks in the dark. Jellyfish bloom in silent explosions of light, their bodies glowing blue, green, violet. They rise and fall like slow-burning stars. For a moment, it feels as if we have fallen not into water, but into the cosmos itself. The pressure grows relentless. Every 10 meters adds weight, unseen but absolute. 100 meters feels like standing beneath a wall of stone. 1,000 meters is like being pressed beneath a mountain. Yet life endures. Fish with translucent skins float through the dark, their bones softened, their forms almost ghost-like. Their very bodies are shaped by this crushing embrace. Where we would break, they thrive. At 100 meters, the descent feels like a surrender. The ocean swallows light, color, shape. Darkness is not an absence here. It is a presence, a living force, stretching across valleys unseen. The world above becomes memory. The only world is here, black, infinite, eternal. And then, in that silence, a flicker appears. A lanternfish drifts past, its body aglow with tiny beacons. More follow, thousands rising together in vertical migration, the largest movement of life on Earth, unseen by human eyes. They shimmer and fade, vanish and return, like a living constellation shifting in slow motion. Their lights are language, lure, survival. In this darkness, light is both shield and weapon. The deeper we fall, the stranger it becomes. Squids drift with eyes the size of fists, unblinking in the black. Creatures with jaws like glass carry glowing lures that pulse in patterns. Some are no larger than a hand. Others stretch longer than buses, coiling through the abyss like phantoms. Each one is a puzzle of survival. Every glow a code we have only begun to understand. The silence deepens too. It is not empty. It hums, vibrates, breathes. The pressure groans against steel. The water shivers with distant tremors, echoes from the seafloor far below. Here, silence is not absence, but weight, a vastness that presses on every thought. At 1,000 meters, the descent becomes irreversible. Above is a ceiling of darkness. Below, a floor we cannot yet see. The ocean no longer feels like water. It feels like space, boundless, cold, alive with hidden stars. To fall here is to step into a realm beyond human scale, a kingdom where light is rare, sound is memory, and time itself feels slowed by the crushing weight. The water presses tighter, the weight of an invisible world layered above us. At 1,500 meters, the last trace of daylight is long gone. No sunbeam reaches here, no shimmer of the surface survives. The ocean has become a cathedral of darkness, vast and echoing, where every flicker of life is a prayer whispered into eternity. The descent starts gently, a slow drift downwards, where the sun still filters through. Colors shimmer in blue and green, fractured by ripples above. Schools of silver fish scatter like shards of light, their bodies flashing in unison. The sea is alive with sound, clicks, whistles, the distant hum of unseen engines. It is a world still tethered to the surface. But the tether does not hold for long. With every breath of the descent, the light fades. Blues deepen into indigo, shadows thicken, familiar shapes blur into outlines, then vanish into the gloom. The water cools, pressing closer, as though it carries the weight of secrets it does not wish to share. At 100 meters, sunlight fractures into beams, weak and trembling. At 200, the beams are gone. A dim twilight spreads across the body, an oceanic dusk that never turns to dawn. Sound shifts too, muffled, distant, strange. The sharp chatter of the surface becomes muted echoes. Even the pulse of the heart feels louder in the chest, as though the body itself is the last reminder of the world above. Here begins the twilight zone, the mesopelagic realm. Life clings to this boundary between worlds. Tiny organisms flicker with bioluminescence, drifting like sparks in the dark. Jellyfish bloom in silent explosions of light, their bodies glowing blue, green, violet. They rise and fall like slow burning stars. For a moment, it feels as if we have fallen not into water, but into the cosmos itself. The pressure grows relentless. Every 10 meters adds weight, unseen but absolute. 100 meters feels like standing beneath a wall of stone. 1,000 meters is like being pressed beneath a mountain. Yet life endures. Fish with translucent skins float through the dark, their bones softened, their forms almost ghost-like. Their very bodies are shaped by this crushing embrace. Where we would break, they thrive. At 100 meters, the descent feels like a surrender. The ocean swallows light, color, shape. Darkness is not an absence here. It is a presence, a living force, stretching across valleys unseen. The world above becomes memory. The only world is here, black, infinite, eternal. And then, in that silence, a flicker appears. A lanternfish drifts past, its body aglow with tiny beacons. More follow, thousands rising together in vertical migration, the largest movement of life on Earth, unseen by human eyes. They shimmer and fade, vanish and return, like a living constellation shifting in slow motion. Their lights are language, lure, survival. In this darkness, light is both shield and weapon. The deeper we fall, the stranger it becomes. Squids drift with eyes the size of fists, unblinking in the black. Creatures with jaws like glass carry glowing lures that pulse in patterns. Some are no larger than a hand. Others stretch longer than buses, coiling through the abyss like phantoms. Each one is a puzzle of survival. Every glow a code we have only begun to understand. The silence deepens too. It is not empty. It hums, vibrates, breathes. The pressure groans against steel. The water shivers with distant tremors, echoes from the seafloor far below. Here, silence is not absence, but weight, a vastness that presses on every thought. At 1,000 meters, the descent becomes irreversible. Above is a ceiling of darkness. Below, a floor we cannot yet see. The ocean no longer feels like water. It feels like space, boundless, cold, alive with hidden stars. To fall here is to step into a realm beyond human scale, a kingdom where light is rare, sound is memory, and time itself feels slowed by the crushing weight. The water presses tighter, the weight of an invisible world layered above us. At 1,500 meters, the last trace of daylight is long gone. No sunbeam reaches here. No shimmer of the surface survives. The ocean has become a cathedral of darkness, vast and echoing, where every flicker of life is a prayer whispered into eternity. Eyes adjust, though there is nothing to see. The body listens instead. The faint rumble of shifting currents, the groan of distant tectonic plates, the muffled throb of unseen creatures moving through blackness. Here, silence is not stillness. It is alive, textured, heavy with stories the deep has carried for millions of years. The descent grows colder. Temperatures fall near freezing, but the cold feels older than winter, ancient, eternal. It clings to skin and thought, a reminder that we have entered a place untouched by the warmth of the sun. Yet even here, life carves a home. Transparent amphipods drift in swarms, tiny crustaceans glowing faintly, pulsing with the rhythm of survival. They move like sparks swept by invisible winds. At 2,000 meters, shapes emerge from the dark, not of rock, but of life. A siphonophore stretches through the water like a living ribbon, its body longer than a whale. It pulses with points of light, each one a separate creature, yet together they form a single drifting colony. They are architects of the abyss, weaving threads of survival across the emptiness. Watching it, one wonders, where does one life end and another begin? Far below, the trench yawns wider. Ridges rise like black mountains, slopes carved by currents stronger than hurricanes. Between them, valleys descend into places even light has never known. It is a geography we cannot map with eyes, only with instruments, and even those falter. The ocean is not a flat desert. It is a landscape more dramatic than anything found on land, a topography shaped by violence and silence alike. Pressure at this depth could crush a submarine without mercy. Yet here, creatures glide effortlessly. The fang-toothed fish, with jaws so oversized they seem impossible, navigates with slow precision. Its teeth, long and pale, are built not for beauty, but for certainty. One bite, and the sehi, ruggle is over. Still, even its monstrous form is small, barely larger than a hand. In the abyss, terror and fragility often share the same body. Then comes the gulper eel, a shadow with a mouth that unfolds like a net. Its body undulates like a ribbon in slow water, its tail tipped with a faint glow, a lure in the darkness. It can swallow prey almost its own size, a survival trick for a world where meals are rare. Watching it, the abyss reminds us, life here is not cruel, only honest. Deeper still, at 3,000 meters, the water grows stranger. Currents twist in silence, carrying whispers of chemicals and minerals from unseen vents. The air we know no longer matters. Oxygen itself is scarce. Yet fish and invertebrates endure, their bodies adapted to hunger, their movements patient. In this place, every choice is deliberate. Waste nothing, miss nothing, survive everything. A sudden pulse of light cuts through the black, a comb jelly, gliding with a body like glass, its cilia scattering rainbows that have no source. Its colors shimmer and vanish, a spectrum born from motion itself. To witness it here feels impossible, like a rainbow seen in the dead of night. But in the abyss, impossible is only another form of truth. The descent slows, but the pressure does not. 4,000 meters. 5. The water is older here, heavier, filled with memories of rivers that spilled into seas millions of years ago. It is a realm where time seems suspended, where life drifts not forward but downward, deeper into stillness. The trench floor still lies far below, but already we feel its pull. Valleys widen, walls stretch higher, shadows deepen into silence so complete it feels like gravity itself. We are falling into a cradle of the earth, a place where beginnings and endings blur, where every flicker of light is a reminder that life has never stopped searching for a way. And as he trench draws closer, so does the truth of its kingdoms, hidden, ancient, waiting in the darkness beyond imagination. The descent stretches on, a journey without horizon. At 6,000 meters, the ocean feels endless, pressing from every side. The body cannot sense the pressure directly, but the mind feels it. An awareness that billions of tons of water hover above, stacked like layers of sky-turned liquid. No mountain could compare. This is weight beyond measure, yet life endures here as though the burden were nothing at all. The trench walls rise beside us, immense and jagged, carved from the planet's restless crust. They stretch upward like cliffs in eternal night, their faces scarred by landslides unseen by human eyes. Each scar tells a story, of earthquakes, of shifting plates, of continents reshaping themselves in silence. To drift past them is to move through time itself, stone layered upon stone, darkness upon darkness. The floor is not yet in sight, but the ocean reveals glimpses of its architects. Amphipods the size of fists scuttle across drifting sediment, their translucent bodies gleaming faintly. They feast on what falls from the world above, fragments of fish, plankton, the final gift of sunlight carried down grain by grain. This endless fall of matter is called marine snow. It is the only rain the abyss ever knows, a slow, eternal drizzle of life and death alike. And yet in some places more than snow gathers. A faint glow shimmers from a patch of rock. Drawing closer, the light sharpens into colonies of brittle stars, their arms outstretched like spokes of living wheels. They sway with the currents, catching whatever falls, an entire city feeding in silence. Their movement is hypnotic, a dance without sound, a language written in gestures too slow for the eye to follow. 7,000 meters. Darkness deepens into something thicker, as though the water itself resists light's memory. The trench floor feels near, yet distance has no meaning here. To look down is to stare into eternity. Every direction feels downward. Every shadow infinite. Suddenly a shape appears, vast and unfamiliar. At first it seems like rock, unmoving. Then it stirs, an outline breaking into motion. A giant amphipod swarm scatters, revealing the silhouette of a creature long whispered about but rarely seen. The hadal snailfish. Its body is pale, fragile-looking, yet it moves with ease in this crushing abyss. Scientists have called it the master of depth, for no other known fish survives deeper. Its skin is thin, its bones flexible, its form perfectly tuned to endure what would crush nearly all others. In its delicate shape lies a secret. Strength here is not hardness, but adaptation. 8,000 meters. The descent approaches the realm of myths, the Hadal Zone, named for Hades, god of the underworld. Few machines have reached this far. Fewer still have returned. Yet here, life persists, a defiance of what we thought possible. Worms cluster near cracks in the rock, their bodies colored in shades unseen above. Amphipods swarm thicker, feasting, building their lives on scraps that drift from realms of light. To them, this is not a graveyard. It is home. The trench narrows, walls pressing close. Shadows carve the black into sharper lines. The silence thickens into weight, pressing not just on steel, but on thought itself. Here, every sound carries meaning. A faint crack could be rock shifting. A low rumble could be the breath of the earth. Even the beat of the heart feels louder. A reminder that we do not belong in this kingdom. At last, the floor begins to emerge. It is not flat, but sculpted, a landscape of valleys and ridges, plains and craters, as varied as any mountain range. Silt drifts in slow clouds, disturbed by unseen movements. The ground glows faintly in places, lit by the soft shimmer of bioluminescent worms and colonies of strange corals clinging to stone. Even here, in the deepest black, it writes its presence in sparks and whispers. The descent slows, the ocean holding us in its final embrace. We have crossed through light, twilight, and midnight, and now stand at the edge of eternity. Ahead lies the trench floor, an ancient kingdom where the rules of the surface no longer apply, where survival is a form of poetry written in silence and pressure. The trench floor spreads out before us like another planet. The weight of the ocean above is unimaginable, yet here the ground feels almost still, as if we have arrived in the eye of a storm. Sediment lies thick, untouched by currents, a pale canvas where life leaves only faint strokes. Tiny amphipods scurry across it, each movement soft enough to seem like dust settling in a forgotten room. At 9,000 meters, we have reached the Hadal depths, a place so far removed from sunlight it feels outside of time. This is where the ocean keeps its oldest secrets. The silence is immense, but not empty. Every ripple, every glow, every subtle vibration carries a story. It is a silence heavy with memory, as though the earth itself is listening. Here, the trench walls rise like cathedrals of stone, their faces rough and fractured, carved by forces we cannot see. They are monuments built not by hands, but by pressure, heat, and endless motion. The longer we gaze, the more alive the walls appear. Strange anemones bloom in small clusters, their tentacles swaying in invisible currents. Worms extend and retract, feeding on drifting particles too small for the eye. Even in stillness, the trench is a garden. Then comes a shimmer in the dark, faint at first, then brighter, spreading across the rocks like a constellation. As we draw closer, the glow sharpens into structure. Not loose colonies, not scattered sparks, but formations. Coral. Not the sunlit reefs we know, blazing with color in shallow seas, but pale towers rising from black stone. They are built not from light, but from minerals carried by the water, hardened into fragile fortresses. The sight is surreal. Pillars rise like spires, twisting and branching, forming arches over the sediment floor. Some are no taller than a hand, others stretch meters into the dark. They gleam faintly with bioluminescence, alive with tiny organisms drifting in and out. It is a city, a hidden kingdom, thriving in eternal night. How could such life exist here, without sunlight, without warmth, under pressures that bend steel? The answer lies in chemistry, not in light. Minerals seep from the cracks of the trench, feeding invisible reactions. Microbes gather, weaving the first threads of life. Coral follows, building homes for creatures that cling to their shelter. In this abyss, life is not given, it is forged. Fish move between the coral towers, their bodies glowing faintly. Shrimp scuttle across the structures, feeding on the smallest scraps. Even here the laws of nature remain. Hunter and hunted, survival and loss, the endless cycle of life. The difference is only in scale. What is rare above becomes precious here. Every fragment of food is sacred. Every spark of energy, treasured. The longer we drift among these towers, the more impossible it feels. Coral, thriving where sunlight has never touched. Towers rising in the coldest dark, holding together entire communities. It is a world within a world, hidden until now. A reminder that Earth still holds realms untouched, mysteries unsolved, wonders unseen. Yet, as beautiful as it is, there is a sense of fragility. These structures have taken centuries to form, perhaps millennia, built grain by grain, layer by layer. They exist in balance, delicate as glass, One shift in current, one fall of stone, and entire towers could collapse. Here, endurance is not strength alone. It is patience, balance, and time itself. The abyss surrounds us, silent witness to this hidden kingdom. The trench has revealed its secret, a coral world built without sun, a city of stone and life standing in defiance of darkness. But this is only the beginning, for if coral can thrive here, what else lies hidden deeper in these valleys, beyond the reach of light, beyond the touch of human eyes? The ocean does not give answers easily. It waits. It tempts. It reveals only fragments, leaving the rest shrouded in shadow. As we drift among the towers, a question rises that cannot yet be answered. What other kingdoms lie beyond, waiting in the dark? The trench floor is silent, but not barren. Rising from the silt like monuments from another age, the coral towers stand as proof that life does not bend easily to darkness. These are not reefs of color, not gardens basking in sunlight, but cathedrals of pale stone, reaching upward in quiet defiance. Their branches twist into shapes both fragile and eternal, each curve a question whispered into the abyss. How did we come to be here, in a place where life should not exist? In the shallow seas, coral breathes sunlight. Algae nest within its tissues, turning rays into energy, feeding the slow architecture of reefs. But here, no sunlight has ever touched. No algae could survive. These corals build without the gift of the sun, relying instead on chemistry carried by the currents. Nutrients swept down from rivers, minerals rising from the sea floor, the endless rain of marine snow. They weave these scraps into fortresses, stone by stone, layer by layer, over centuries. What seems fragile in a glance is in truth a triumph of patience. The towers host more than coral alone. Look closer, and the walls are alive. Worms thread their bodies into crevices, drawing food from invisible streams. Tiny shrimps scuttle across branches, feeding on particles too small for the naked eye. Brittle stars wrap their arms around coral stems, swaying gently with the rhythm of unseen tides. Every inch of this city hums with life. Faint, patient, endless. At first glance, the corals seem colorless, pale as ghosts, but under the faint glimmers of bioluminescence, they reveal hues of soft blue, violet, and silver. Light here is rare, and so every shimmer becomes a spectacle. Fish pass through, their scales reflecting faint glows, painting the coral walls with fleeting strokes of green and gold. In these rare moments, the abyss blooms with color. Not permanent, not loud, but enough to remind us that beauty is not only the privilege of sunlight. The shapes of the structures themselves tell stories. Some grow like spires, thin and fragile, rising toward the unreachable surface. Others spread wide like trees, branches layered and curling, homes for countless smaller creatures. Some even form arches, tunnels where fish weave in schools, their movements synchronized as though they are threads in a tapestry. Each formation is an expression of survival, an adaptation to the currents that sweep through the trench. Drifting deeper into this city, it feels less like exploring nature and more like entering a forgotten civilization. Towers stretch beyond sight, clustered together like districts of a hidden metropolis. In the silence, it is easy to imagine these spires as ruins left behind by an ancient world. But they are not ruins. They are alive, growing still, shaping themselves in slow motion while we pass through in moments. And yet, their existence feels precarious. Coral in the abyss grows slower than anywhere else on Earth. What rises here over centuries could be destroyed in seconds. A collapse of stone, a surge of current, the fall of sediment, all could erase a structure built across ages. In this way, The coral kingdoms are fragile and eternal at once. Monument. It's both delicate and unyielding. Among the spires, larger creatures pass through like shadows. A Dumbo octopus glides between towers, its fins fluttering like wings, its body glowing faintly in soft pink. It hovers near a coral arch, curling its arms as if inspecting the city walls. Then it drifts onward, vanishing into the dark. Its presence feels like a guardian of these silent streets, a reminder that even the most fragile places draw wanderers of the abyss. Nearby, a group of grenadier fish moves slowly across the floor. Their tails trail like long banners, their bodies thin, their eyes wide in the darkness. They circle the coral spires, searching for fragments of food. Each movement is measured, patient. Nothing is wasted here. Life has learned the value of stillness. The deeper into this kingdom we drift, the more it feels like a paradox. These coral towers are impossibilities, gardens without sun, cities without architects, yet they endure, shaped by forces unseen, built in silence, lit only by the rare flicker of life. And if such beauty can exist here, in a place the earth itself seems to hide, then what other secrets might wait in the shadows between the spires? The deeper we wander into these coral kingdoms, the more impossible they seem. They rise from a world of silence, built grain by grain in a place that knows no light, and yet they sustain communities as intricate as any forest. Every tower, every branch, every crevice becomes a stage where life performs a play, written not in sound or color, but in persistence. Here, survival is a chain. The corals build their structures from minerals drifting in the water, and in doing so they create shelter. Within those shelters, microbes gather, forming invisible mats that coat the stone. Shrimp graze upon them, brittle stars feed upon the shrimp, and fish glide between the branches, hunting in silence. It is an ecosystem that begins with stone and patience and blooms into movement, hunger, and light. In the shallows, coral reefs dazzle with speed, fish flashing in bursts, predators striking in blurs of motion. But here, everything moves slower. A brittle star may take hours to shift its arms across a single branch. A shrimp may linger in place for minutes before daring to move again. Patience is not a choice here. It is survival. Look closer still, and you see creatures invisible at first glance. Polychaeta worms with bristled bodies weave between coral stems, their iridescent spines catching stray light. Tiny amphipods, smaller than a fingernail, dart through crevices, scavenging the faintest fragments. Even bacteria, unseen yet vital, cling to every surface, transforming minerals into food sources that ripple through the kingdom. The deeper you peer, the more it feels like each coral spire is less a structure and more a living city, every layer inhabited, every surface alive. What is most striking, though, is the absence of waste. Above, in the world of sunlight, nature can afford excess. Here, nothing is wasted. The fall of a single plankton carcass might feed an amphipod swarm. The shedding of coral tissue becomes nourishment for worms. Even the glow of bioluminescence, beautiful though it seems, carries purpose, attracting prey, warning predators, signaling mates. Beauty here is never without function. Yet amid this precision, there is wonder. A lanternfish drifts past, its body flickering with pulses of light. For a brief moment, it illuminates the towers around it, casting shadows across the spires, as though the coral city has lit its lamps for night. Moments later, the fish is gone, swallowed again by blackness. It is a reminder that in this place, beauty arrives suddenly, vanishes swiftly, and leaves behind only memory. And there are mysteries still unsolved. Scientists have wondered how these corals withstand such pressure, how their delicate branches do not collapse under the crushing weight. The answer may lie in their very bones, Flexible skeletons that bend rather than break, tissues that compress without tearing. They are not brittle, though they appear so. They are designed for endurance, not strength. Like the trench itself, they have learned to yield, and in yielding, they survive. The kingdom stretches farther than the eye can follow. One spire leads to another, then another, until the towers form entire districts of the trench. Between them lie valleys of sediment, plains where scavengers patrol, their eyes searching for what the towers cannot catch. To drift through this world is to move through a labyrinth, silent, intricate, unending. And yet, for all its beauty, this world feels unmeasured. How many towers rise here? How many valleys stretch beyond our sight? How much of this kingdom remains untouched, unseen, unimagined? In the surface world, we map mountains and forests, rivers and deserts, but here, no map is complete. No chart can capture the full extent of what grows in the dark. As the journey continues, one truth grows heavier. These are not ruins of the past. They are monuments of the present, alive, growing still, forming the foundation of ecosystems we have only begun to glimpse. To witness them is not only to marvel, but to wonder what else they hold, what creatures call them home, what secrets they shelter, what stories their branches have gathered across centuries of silence. And somewhere deeper in this city, hidden among the spires, lies a discovery still waiting. A creature, a behavior, a mystery that could change everything we think we know about life in the abyss. The coral labyrinth stretches like a dream without end. Each tower rises into darkness, its branches curling into delicate spirals, its roots clinging to rock that has never known the touch of sunlight. The silence here feels sacred, as if we are trespassers in a cathedral built by time itself. And yet, within these spires, life stirs, faint, quiet, but undeniable. Among the branches, ghostly forms drift. A jellyfish, no larger than a coin, pulses with slow grace, its body translucent, its bell casting a soft violet glow. It hovers near the coral, then drifts upward, disappearing into black. Its presence seems fragile, temporary, like a spark vanishing in a storm. But in the abyss, even the smallest flicker is a triumph. Moving deeper, shapes emerge that feel stranger still. A squat lobster, pale and armored, scuttles across a coral branch. Its claws snap open and shut as it feeds on tiny organisms invisible to the eye. Its movements are deliberate, careful, as though it knows the fragility of the structure beneath it. Moments later, it vanishes into a crevice, becoming one with the spire. Not far away, a Dumbo octopus drifts between towers, its fins spreading like wings. It hovers over the coral, as if inspecting its secrets, curling its arms with an elegance that seems almost thoughtful. For a moment, it lingers, the faint shimmer of its skin reflecting the pale light of the coral. Then, with a slow push, it glides away, vanishing into the dark as quietly as it appeared. The spires are not only homes, but hunting grounds. Lanternfish patrol the spaces between towers, their bodies flickering with coded pulses of light. Each flash is a language, signals to mates, lures for prey, warnings to rivals. In the black silence of the trench, light has become voice. Watching them, it feels as though the coral city itself is alive with whispers, carried not by sound, but by flickers. Deeper into the labyrinth, larger shadows pass. A grenadier fish drifts low across the sediment floor, its elongated body swaying like a banner in the current. It circles the coral spires slowly, eyes wide, tail trailing like a tether. It searches for scraps, for fragments of life caught in the branches. Its presence feels solemn, a reminder that even here, in the most fragile of kingdoms, hunger rules. And then comes something unexpected. At first it seems like coral itself, a twisted branch rising from stone. But it moves. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, the branch unfolds into arms. It is a sea spider, its legs impossibly thin, stretching across the coral as though it were part of the structure itself. Its body glows faintly, its movements deliberate. Watching it is unsettling. A creature so alien in form, yet perfectly suited to this kingdom. It does not disturb the coral. It becomes the coral, predator and shadow in one. These spires are not quiet. They are alive with rhythms too slow for human eyes, too faint for human ears. Currents sweep nutrients into the branches. Microscopic plankton drift through, captured by patient feeders. Fish circle, shrimp scuttle, worms weave. Each layer of life builds upon the next, until the entire kingdom hums with an invisible song, not loud, not fast, but steady, eternal. What makes this place even more extraordinary is its isolation. These coral towers do not connect to the shallow reefs above. They do not share the same sunlight or the same ecosystems. They are their own worlds, shaped by their own rules, hidden in the folds of the ocean. To enter them is to step into a parallel earth, one that has evolved in silence, untouched by the rhythms of the surface. And yet, for all their distance, they are bound to us. The marine snow that falls from above, the remains of life from sunlit waters, feeds the corals here. The movement, techniques of tectonic plates create the chemistry that sustains them. In this way, the coral kingdoms remind us that nothing on Earth is truly separate. Even the deepest abyss is tied to the light, to the surface, to us. The labyrinth stretches farther still, each new corridor leading to another, each spire hiding mysteries behind its pale walls. Somewhere in this silent city, there are creatures we have not yet seen, adaptations we cannot yet imagine, truths we have not yet touched. The coral kingdoms hold more than beauty. They hold secrets. And as the journey winds deeper into the heart of the labyrinth, one question rises louder than the silence. What lies hidden in the chambers of this city, waiting in the dark? The labyrinth narrows, its spires pressing closer together until the coral feels less like a city and more like a maze. Branches curl overhead, forming arches that enclose the path, casting shadows deeper than night. Each step, or drift, feels like a passage into secrecy, as though the coral has drawn us into its heart to reveal something meant to remain unseen. The stillness grows heavier here. Even the small creatures seem more cautious, their movements restrained, deliberate. A brittle star shifts slowly across a branch, arms curling like question marks. A shrimp pauses mid-step, antennae quivering, then vanishes into a crevice as if startled by something invisible. The silence is no longer gentle. It is watchful. Then, from the corner of vision, a light flickers. Not the soft glow of coral, not the slow pulse of lanternfish, but a sharp, piercing flash. It blazes, then vanishes, then blazes again in rhythm. We follow, drawn into the twisting corridors of coral, until the source emerges. A dragonfish, its body blacker than the water around it, its jaws lined with fangs that shine in the light of its lure. It hovers in the shadows, waiting. Its lure glows again, bright enough to reveal the spires around it, then fades, plunging the labyrinth back into black. The sight is unsettling. Here, among towers built with patience, a predator waits with endless hunger. The coral provides shelter not only for the fragile, but for the fierce. It is a reminder that beauty does not erase danger, it hides it. Every spire is both refuge and trap, every crevice both sanctuary and ambush. The coral kingdoms are not passive monuments, they are battlegrounds, silent but relentless. As we move deeper, the spires grow taller, their tips vanishing into the dark above. Between them lies a clearing, a plain of silt surrounded by walls of coral. At first, it seems empty. Then the sediment stirs, and something vast emerges. Slowly, almost reverently, a giant isopod crawls into view, its armored body gleaming like metal under faint light. Its legs clatter softly against the coral floor, carrying it across the plain with patience that feels eternal. It pauses, antennae sweeping the water, then continues, each movement deliberate, unhurried. In this world, time belongs to the patient. The isopod vanishes into the shadows, leaving the plain silent once more. Yet the feeling lingers, a sense that we are being observed. The coral spires loom like towers, their branches curling inward, as though they are not just homes but walls, defenses against whatever lies beyond. And beyond them, the abyss waits, vast and unknowable. Then the labyrinth shifts. The spires begin to thin, the density of towers breaking apart into scattered clusters. The coral city fades into isolated monuments, solitary spires rising from empty plains. It feels like leaving the heart of a kingdom, stepping from streets into wilderness. The silence deepens again, no longer watchful, but endless. What remains is the memory of the labyrinth, its spires, its inhabitants, its hidden dangers. We have walked through a world where patience builds cities, where light is both weapon and song, where beauty and hunger share the same walls. And though the labyrinth has released us, its mysteries remain. How deep do these towers extend? How many lives move unseen within their walls? What secrets do they guard in their silence? Ahead lies only darkness, but in that darkness, shadows stir. Larger, stranger, more impossible than the creatures that darted among coral branches. The abyss does not end with the coral kingdoms. They are only the threshold. Beyond them, life takes forms we have yet to comprehend. Creatures that do not merely survive in the deep, but rule it. The abyss stretches before us, vast and unbroken. The coral kingdoms fall behind, their spires fading into shadow, until nothing remains but emptiness. Here, the seafloor is bare, the water silent, the blackness unbroken. It feels like stepping into a desert without sand, a sky without stars. And yet, within this emptiness, something stirs. At first, the shapes appear faint, indistinct, like shadows moving against shadows. Then they sharpen, revealing forms unlike anything known above. The abyss is not barren. It is alive with creatures so alien, they seem to belong to another world. A flicker appears in the dark. Small, sharp, deliberate. Then another and another, until the black waters glitter with pulses of light. Lanternfish, countless in number, drift into view. Their bodies shimmer with bioluminescent patterns, their eyes wide, reflecting the faintest glow. They swim in vast schools, their movements coordinated, as though directed by an unseen rhythm. The lights they cast resemble a sky of stars inverted, the ocean floor transformed into a galaxy beneath our feet. But this galaxy is not for beauty alone. Each flicker is communication, a secret language written in light. Some signals lure prey, others warn predators, still others guide mates in the endless dark. The lanternfish do not simply inhabit the abyss, they illuminate it, turning silence into dialogue. To drift among them is to wander through a city of lights where every blink carries meaning. Farther below, a shadow emerges, larger, heavier, more menacing. The gulper eel. Its body undulates like a ribbon, its tail tipped with a faint glowing lure. But it is the mouth that dominates. Vast, hinged, capable of opening wide enough to engulf prey nearly its own size. It drifts slowly, conserving energy, until the lure flickers, casting an irresistible signal into the black. Then, with sudden violence, the mouth gapes, and the abyss swallows itself. In the stillness that follows, the eel vanishes once more into shadow. The gulper is not alone. Other predators rule this realm with weapons born of necessity. The anglerfish, with its luminous lure dangling like a false star. The dragonfish, its teeth sharper than needles, its body cloaked in black so complete it seems made of shadow itself. The viperfish, its fangs so long they cannot fit inside its mouth, curving outward like spears. Each creature is an answer to the same question. How do you survive in a world without light, without warmth, without mercy? Yet even among such predators there is grace. The Dumbo octopus drifts upward from the sea floor, its fins flapping gently like wings. Its body is soft, translucent, tinged with hues of pink and white. It moves with slow elegance, as though it belongs not to the abyss, but to a dream. It does not hunt with violence. It glides with patience, feeding quietly on worms and crustaceans, its movements more dance than pursuit. In the harshest depths, it is a vision of calm. Still deeper, stranger shapes emerge. A translucent creature, long as a ribbon, drifts through the water. It is a siphonophore, a colony of organisms bound together, each part performing a different task. One swims, another feeds, another reproduces. Together, they move as one, stretching across the abyss like a living chain of light. Some siphonophores reach lengths longer than whales, their glowing bodies weaving through the dark like rivers of fire. They are not single beings, but communities, surviving not through solitude, but through unity. These creatures blur the lines between the possible and the impossible. They shimmer, they glow, they distort their shapes into forms unrecognizable. And yet, for all their strangeness, they are not anomalies. They are the rule here. In the abyss, survival demands invention. Each body is a response to pressure, to darkness, to scarcity. Each light, each fang, each fin is an answer shaped by time. The further we drift, the more it feels like stepping away from Earth itself. These are not creatures of the same world as forests, deserts, and plains. They belong to an Earth we do not know. One that thrives without sun, one that evolves in silence, one that has existed for millions of years unseen. But as wondrous as they are, the question lingers. What else stirs in the abyss, beyond the reach of even their light? What giants, what predators, what mysteries still lurk where no eye has yet dared to see? The abyss grows heavier as we descend. The water thickens with pressure. The silence deepens into something almost physical, pressing against the ears, against the chest. Even the creatures of light seem to thin, their flickers fading until the dark feels nearly absolute. It is here, in this deeper void, that giants emerge. At first, only shadows stir. Vast, slow-moving shapes glide through the black, their outlines faint against the emptiness. Then one comes closer, its silhouette resolving into something immense. A squid, longer than a bus, its arms trailing like banners in the current. This is the giant squid, a creature once thought to be myth, now revealed as ruler of the deep. Its eyes, the largest in the animal kingdom, shine like moons in the darkness, reflecting even the faintest glimmer. Those eyes are not only windows, they are weapons, able to detect shadows of predators, the faintest ripple of prey. The squid drifts with a grace that belies its size, each arm moving with careful precision. But beneath that elegance lies violence. Its tentacles end in hooks and suckers, designed to grasp, to tear, to hold fast against anything unlucky enough to cross its path. For centuries, sailors spoke of monsters pulling ships into the deep. In truth, the giant squid does not hunt ships. But to the creatures of the abyss, It is a monster all the same. Yet even the giant squid is not invincible. Somewhere deeper, in shadows darker still, another giant stirs, the sperm whale. It is the only predator capable of challenging the squid, descending into the black to hunt battles that few eyes have ever witnessed. Their encounters are written not in sight, but in scars. Long, pale marks etched into the whale's skin, wounds carved by hooked tentacles in struggles fought far beneath the surface. Each scar is a story of survival, of giants colliding in silence. The thought is humbling. While the world above moves with sunlight and sound, below, battles of titans rage in darkness, unseen, unrecorded, eternal. The ocean floor holds no witnesses, only the scars remain. Still, not every giant is a predator. Some move with patience, feeding on the invisible. The deep-sea jellyfish, larger than a human, floats with tentacles trailing dozens of meters behind it. Its body pulses with a red glow, light that cannot be seen by most creatures of the abyss, an invisible cloak in a world of eyes sensitive to blue. To us, it is radiant. To its prey, it is hidden, an assassin wrapped in beauty. Nearby, a more delicate giant drifts. A glass sponge, its skeleton made of silica, rises from the sea floor like a frozen cathedral. Within its lattice walls, shrimp live their entire lives, trapped from birth to death. To us, it may seem cruel, a prison of glass. But to the shrimp, it is home, a sanctuary that provides food, protection, and community. The sponge endures for centuries, unchanging, its walls growing taller, while generations of shrimp come and go within. It is a reminder that in the abyss, longevity is not measured in years, but in ages. Other giants are less graceful, but no less extraordinary. The giant isopod, armored and ancient, patrols the seafloor like a relic from another era. Its body, a twisted echo of the pillbugs found in gardens above, has been magnified into something monstrous, nearly half a meter long. It scuttles across the sediment, antennae probing, scavenging for the remains that drift down from above. It is not a hunter, not a builder, not a creator. It is a survivor, enduring by patience alone. Each giant carries its own truth. Some strike, some drift, some wait, but all are bound by the same law. In the abyss, size is not dominance alone, it is necessity. To grow large here is to conserve energy, to endure scarcity, to stretch life across decades where food may come rarely, and survival is never guaranteed. And yet, for all these wonders, something feels unfinished. The abyss has shown us its predators, its scavengers, its titans of flesh and bone. But what lies still deeper? What shapes lurk in trenches where even giants do not go? What mysteries hide in waters so deep they remain untouched by light, by sound, by exploration? The descent continues, and with every meter, the abyss feels less like part of our planet and more like a threshold into another world. The giants fade behind us, their silhouettes swallowed by distance, until all that remains is silence, pressure, and the unknown. Here, life takes forms that bend the imagination. Creatures so alien, they challenge the very idea of earthly existence. The first appears faintly, a shimmer of light suspended in blackness. As it drifts closer, its body reveals itself, long, delicate, transparent. A comb jelly, its surface lined with rows of cilia that beat like waves, scattering light into iridescent rainbows. It glows with shifting hues, ribbons of blue and green cascading across its body like a living aurora. Unlike the violent hunters of the deep, it does not lunge or strike. It drifts, catching plankton in invisible nets of mucus. Fragile, radiant, it feels less like an animal than a fragment of light-given form. Then another form drifts into view. Stranger still, a barrel-eye fish, its skull transparent, revealing eyes that rotate upward through a dome of clear flesh. Those eyes, green and tubular, peer into the faint light above, able to track prey, silhouetted against the surface far above. Its head glows faintly with ghostly light, a lantern to its own thoughts. Watching it is unsettling, as though the creature itself were a window, its mind exposed, its secrets impossible to hide. It moves slowly, deliberately, as though guarding its mysteries, even as it reveals them. Nearby, a gelatinous veil unfurls, a giant siphonophore, longer than a blue whale, its body a colony of living parts bound together. Each section glows with soft light, illuminating the abyss like a drifting chandelier. Its tendrils stretch outward into darkness, invisible snares waiting for prey. To approach it is to feel small, fragile, and impossibly temporary. It is not a single life, but thousands bound as one, a living constellation suspended in black water. Not all are luminous. Some hide their strangeness in silence. A tripod fish stands on the seafloor, balancing on 3 elongated fins like legs, its body motionless, its eyes useless in the dark. It waits, sensing vibrations in the current, snapping up prey that drifts within reach. It looks less like a fish, and more like a sculpture left behind by an ancient hand, frozen in eternal patience. And then, a shadow unlike the rest. A creature flat and wide, with wings that ripple as it drifts through black waters. At first it resembles a manta ray, but its body is translucent, its edges glowing faintly, its organs suspended in clear flesh. It is a deep sea ray, a ghostly echo of its sunlit relatives. Its wings ripple with slow grace, its form both familiar and alien, as though the ocean had reshaped something known into a haunting memory of itself. The deeper we drift, the stranger the forms become. Some creatures flicker with light only to vanish into transparency. Others twist into shapes that mimic plants, their bodies waving as though rooted, though they are not. Some glow red, invisible to most eyes in the deep, cloaking themselves in a darkness within darkness, and some remain invisible altogether, their bodies nearly indistinguishable from water, revealed only when they move. It is impossible not to wonder. How many lives pass us by unseen? How many creatures slip through our vision without ever being known? The abyss does not reveal itself freely. It shows fragments, glimpses, silhouettes, enough to remind us that what we see is only a fraction of what exists. And so, the question deepens. If these forms exist here, in this sliver of depth, what waits still below? What creatures live where even our lights cannot reach? Where pressure crushes steel? Where time itself seems to slow? Are there beings so strange we could not recognize them as life at all? The abyss has given us comb jellies that shimmer like stars, fish with transparent skulls, colonies longer than whales, and ghosts with wings. It has shown us patience, alien beauty, survival shaped into forms beyond imagination. And still, it whispers that we have seen nothing yet. The descent continues, and somewhere beneath us, beyond even this gallery of impossibilities, lies a darkness so profound it has hidden secrets for millions of years. A place where the strangest creatures of all wait in silence. The abyss grows heavier still, each meter stretching the limits of imagination. The luminous comb jellies, the transparent skulls, the ghostly rays, all fade behind us, leaving a darkness so absolute It presses against the mind as much as the body. In this silence, the water feels alive, thick with secrets, patient, unyielding. Every flicker of movement, every pulse of light, seems deliberate, as if the abyss itself watches and waits. A subtle shift ripples across the sea floor. It is nearly imperceptible at first. A movement of sediment, a flutter of shadows. Then it grows clearer, shapes rising from the black, ancient and enormous, yet unfamiliar. These are not the giants of flesh and bone we have seen above. These are relics, ruins, structures built by creatures long vanished, or perhaps by forces we do not yet understand. Their surfaces are covered in the soft glow of bioluminescent colonies, casting eerie light across arches and columns, spires and walls. It is difficult to comprehend. How could such structures exist at these depths, where sunlight has never reached and pressure crushes most living things? Yet here they stand, remnants of a world older than memory, carved and grown over millennia. Some appear organic, shaped like coral or sponge, but on a scale far larger than life. Others resemble stones twisted into impossible shapes, like the ruins of a city sunk into time itself. The abyss blurs the line between biology and architecture, between life and monument. Amid these ruins, movement flickers again. A creature unlike any seen before drifts through a broken arch. Its body is long and sinuous, skin patterned with faint, shifting lines of light. Eyes glow faintly, not reflective, but internal, as though it carries its own sun. It hovers near a spire, stretching delicate appendages over the surface, as if inspecting the structures themselves. This is no hunter in the traditional sense. It is a wanderer, a guardian, a being as ancient as the ruins it moves among. The scale of the ruins becomes apparent only when we drift closer. Columns rise meters above the floor, towers stretch across plains of sediment, and arches span distances impossible to cross in one glance. Bioluminescent organisms cling to every surface, tracing lines and curves like the veins of a living map. Small fish dart between the structures, shrimps scuttle along the walls, and worms weave through cracks and crevices. Life has claimed these ruins, but it did not create them. Their origins remain a riddle, and yet, for all their enormity, the ruins exude fragility. Sediment drifts slowly across floors, corroding stone-like surfaces, while currents whisper through cracks in ways that could, over centuries, collapse entire sections. They are ancient, yes, but vulnerable. Even here, in a place that feels eternal, time leaves its mark. The abyss preserves, but it does not protect. Then a sound, faint, low, almost imperceptible, vibrates through the water. Not a roar, not a crash, but a pulse, resonating through stone and silt. It is subtle, but it carries a weight that shifts the perception of the entire space. Whatever made this sound is enormous, older than memory, unseen. The ruins may be silent, but they are not abandoned. Something moves within, watching, waiting. The abyss whispers a warning. The deeper we go, the more the unknown asserts itself. Coral kingdoms, strange creatures, giants of the deep. They were only the beginning. Beyond them lie structures older than humans, inhabitants we cannot yet comprehend, secrets that the ocean has jealously guarded for millions of years. And as we drift among the ruins, the question becomes impossible to ignore. What lives here, unseen, in a place where light has never reached, where pressure has molded life into forms unimaginable, where silence reigns supreme? The abyss has unveiled wonders, monsters, and miracles. Now it prepares to reveal its most profound secret. The journey continues, and ahead lies a world untouched for eons, the silent ruins of the deep. The trench opens into a landscape that feels impossibly old. The coral kingdoms fade behind us, their spires no longer visible, replaced by the silent ruins of the deep. Columns rise from the sediment floor, like the remnants of a forgotten city. Arches stretch across plains as if frozen mid-construction, and towers, broken and jagged, reach upward into a darkness older than memory. The water here is heavier, thicker, as though the ocean itself presses down to guard its secrets. These ruins are not coral. They are not sponges. They are structures born of the abyss itself, some organic, some mineral, all mysterious. Their surfaces are etched with faint patterns, grooves and striations that speak of currents, of chemical reactions, of processes that unfold over millennia. To drift among them is to enter a realm where time has slowed, where every layer tells a story older than humanity. Tiny bioluminescent creatures cling to the walls, illuminating details that would otherwise vanish in blackness. Worms weave along cracks, shrimp scuttle across ledges, and fish dart through arches like ghosts in a cathedral. These creatures are small, fragile, yet they have claimed the ruins as home. Life here is not abundant. It is deliberate, measured, patient. Every movement, every flicker of light carries purpose. The scale of these ruins is staggering. Some towers rise meters above the sea floor, their tops disappearing into darkness. Arches span distances impossible to perceive at first glance, forming corridors and chambers that could conceal entire communities of creatures. Sediment has collected in valleys, forming plains dotted with smaller structures, spires, walls, and isolated columns that hint at an architecture far older than memory. Drifting closer to one of the largest towers, shapes move along its sides. A group of giant amphipods navigates the vertical walls, their translucent bodies glowing faintly, illuminating the textures of the surface. Their claws grip the crevices, propelling them upward with surprising agility. They are scavengers, yes, but here they become explorers of an alien landscape, tracing patterns that may have existed long before human eyes could imagine them. Between towers, currents sweep sediment slowly across the ruins, shaping and reshaping them over centuries. Tiny vents release clouds of minerals, feeding microbes that cling to every surface. They are scavengers, yes, but here they become explorers of an alien landscape, tracing patterns that may have existed long before human eyes could imagine them. Between towers, currents sweep sediment slowly across the ruins, shaping and reshaping them over centuries. Tiny vents release clouds of minerals, feeding microbes that cling to every surface. These microbes, invisible yet essential, form the foundation for life here. Shrimp, worms, and fish all rely on them. A delicate balance that allows the ruins to remain alive, despite the crushing pressure and eternal darkness. As we drift further, the ruins reveal more. Chambers collapsed into arches, corridors of stone-like growth, spires fractured yet still upright. The structures themselves feel alive, not in movement, but in presence. They command attention, they tell stories, and within these stories, shadows move. A large shadow drifts across a broken arch. Its body is long and flexible, tentacles trailing in slow arcs. It glows faintly with internal light, revealing a creature that seems both ancient and unknown. Perhaps a cephalopod evolved beyond comprehension, or a predator shaped by eons in silence. Its movements are deliberate, almost ritualistic, as though it is aware of the history embedded in the ruins themselves. Every encounter here is fleeting. Glimpses, shadows, flashes of light. The abyss offers no comfort, no pause. It teases understanding, then withdraws. The deeper we venture, the more it becomes clear. These ruins are not empty. They are home. They are guardians. They are the thresholds of a world we cannot yet fully grasp. And as the ruins stretch into the distance, disappearing into darkness. The question rises louder than the silence. What lives deeper still in the chambers too vast, too ancient for even these creatures to fully occupy? What secrets have endured here, preserved for eons, waiting for the rare eyes brave enough to witness them? The silent ruins hold their answers in shadows and light, in movement and stillness. To understand them is to understand patience, survival, and the extraordinary resilience of life. And yet, the abyss has only begun to reveal its depths. The ruins stretch endlessly, their broken spires and fractured arches forming a labyrinth older than memory. Each structure seems to hum with silent life, though the sound is imperceptible, vibrations so faint that only the creatures of the deep feel them. The walls, etched with patterns carved over millennia, provide homes, hunting grounds, and hiding places for countless organisms. In this darkness, survival is deliberate, every motion calculated. Small amphipods cling to the surfaces, their translucent bodies flickering as faint light from nearby bioluminescent organisms strikes them. They move in careful patterns, navigating the labyrinth with precision. To the casual observer, they might seem insignificant, but here they are the lifeblood of the ecosystem. They scavenge the smallest particles, breaking down minerals and detritus, converting what would otherwise be lifeless into nourishment for others. Worms slither along cracks and crevices, their bristled bodies tracing invisible maps across the ruins. They feed on microbial mats that cling to the structures, creating threads of life that support shrimp, fish, and larger predators. Every inch of the ruins is connected by these small acts of survival, a delicate balance maintained across centuries. Deeper chambers reveal larger inhabitants. Fish, with elongated bodies and reflective eyes, patrol narrow corridors, their movements slow but precise. Lantern-like lures dangle from their jaws, pulsing intermittently to attract prey. They move between arches, weaving through spires like predators in a city of stone. Their light illuminates walls that might otherwise remain invisible, casting shadows that hint at hidden corridors and unexplored crevices. Among the spires, strange cephalopods drift with ghostly elegance. A Dumbo octopus glides over fractured columns, its fins fluttering like wings. It hovers briefly, curling its arms around a narrow arch as if inspecting it, then continues in silence. Its translucent body reveals a faint pink glow, internal structures moving with each pulse of water. It is a silent guardian of these ruins, a reminder that even in the harshest darkness, grace persists. Even larger creatures patrol the outskirts of this labyrinth. Sperm whales dive into these depths, hunting giant squid that dart through arches and crevices. Their massive bodies create currents that ripple through the ruins, stirring sediment and reshaping the landscape in subtle ways. Though seldom seen, their presence is felt, a constant reminder of the scale and power that underpins the ecosystem. The ruins themselves are more than passive architecture. They are active participants in this world. Mineral vents release clouds of nutrients that feed microbes and small invertebrates. Sediment drifts slowly across floors, covering and uncovering surfaces, shaping the habitats of generations of creatures. Even the tiniest organisms depend on these shifts. A newly exposed crevice may reveal food, a hidden passage, or a safer shelter. Life is intertwined with the structures, and the structures are alive in their own way, evolving with each century that passes. Bioluminescence transforms the ruins into a living gallery. Tiny worms glow faintly along walls, shrimp shimmer as they scuttle across ledges, and fish pulse with light to communicate, to hunt, or to warn. The ruins, once silent and foreboding, are filled with rhythms, subtle, delicate, continuous. It is a symphony without sound, performed in light, movement, and shadow. Yet, for all the beauty, there is fragility. One collapse, one surge of sediment, one misstep in... The currents could alter entire sections of this ecosystem. These ruins are ancient, but their endurance relies on balance. Predators hunt, scavengers feed, microbes grow, all in a delicate choreography maintained over millennia. And somewhere deeper, in chambers yet unobserved, the most elusive forms of life await. Creatures adapted to absolute darkness, capable of surviving pressures that would crush steel, thriving in isolation, unseen by human eyes. The ruins are not the end of the abyss. They are a threshold, a gateway to secrets even older, even stranger, and more extraordinary than anything yet revealed. The silent ruins of the deep are alive, not just with creatures, but with history, adaptation, and survival. To witness them is to glimpse the resilience of life at its most extraordinary, and to realize that the abyss still has worlds waiting beyond even these walls, waiting in shadows no light has yet reached. The ruins grow darker the deeper we drift. Light is scarce now, confined to faint glimmers from bioluminescent organisms clinging to walls or drifting along the corridors. Shadows stretch longer, and every crevice feels like it might conceal a watcher. Life here has adapted not just to the pressure, not just to the darkness, but to secrecy itself. Survival demands stealth as much as endurance. From the blackness, shapes begin to emerge. A predator glides silently across the sediment floor, its body elongated and armored, moving with terrifying patience. The giant isopod, ancient and slow, patrols the open plains between towers, its antennae sweeping in arcs to sense the smallest vibrations. It feeds on carrion, but even scavengers in the deep are predators in their own right, consuming life with precision and endurance. Higher along a fractured spire, a barrel-eye fish floats with its transparent skull, illuminated by faint green eyes. It rotates upward, tracking shadows in the water above. Its gaze is unsettling, an unblinking observation of every movement, every flicker of life. To the creatures of the abyss, it is both hunter and sentinel. Its prey may never see it, yet every action is dictated by its awareness. Deeper still, a long, ribbon-like siphonophore drifts past, a colony of thousands of organisms functioning as one. Its tentacles stretch outward in invisible snares, pulsing with bioluminescent light that captures unwary prey. It is a predator unlike any known above water, its reach impossible to measure, its presence a reminder that the abyss operates under rules wholly foreign to surface life. The ruins themselves hold predators hidden in plain sight. Cephalopods with translucent bodies and glowing tips lurk in arches, arms coiled, waiting for the moment to strike. They move without sound, without haste, blending into the fractured columns and shadowed corridors. To watch them is to feel the tension of eternity, every motion calculated, every opportunity lethal. Even among these hunters there are anomalies. Ghostly rays drift silently, wings extended, scanning the floor below. Their movements are slow, deliberate, almost reverent, as if respecting the ruins themselves. These creatures feed less on aggression than patience, relying on strategy over force. Their presence is a counterpoint to the violence of other predators, a reminder that survival in the abyss is multifaceted. And then, in the deepest chamber yet reached, a shadow moves unlike any before. Its body is massive, far beyond the proportions of familiar abyssal creatures. Its limbs stretch in impossible angles, eyes glow faintly with alien intelligence, and its presence dominates the space. It does not swim. It drifts, almost levitates, as if unbound by the currents that rule lesser forms. The ruins themselves seem to bend around it, the ancient spires dwarfed by its sheer scale. We catch only glimpses of it, a tentacle brushing a column, a luminous organ pulsing like a hidden heart. It is the apex of this silent kingdom, the ruler of the ruins, the secret the abyss has guarded for eons. Every other predator, every scavenger, every flicker of light seems minor compared to it. And yet it moves with care, almost as if conscious of the delicate structures surrounding it. The ruins are ancient, but this creature is older, a living testament to the abyss's capacity for creating forms beyond comprehension. The presence of such a being shifts everything. The ruins are no longer merely ancient architecture. They are a hunting ground, a sanctuary, a stage for life forms shaped by time, pressure, and darkness. Every spire, every arch, every shadowed corridor carries meaning. Even the smallest amphipod, drifting along the walls, participates in a narrative billions of years in the making. The abyss remains patient. Light will not reach here. Sound carries little. Time moves differently. And the creature, the apex of this realm, drifts silently, an eternal guardian of secrets we are only beginning to glimpse. To witness it is to understand that these ruins, though silent, are alive. Alive with predators, with history, with mysteries older than memory. And as we leave the chamber drifting back into the shadowed corridors, one thought lingers. The abyss has shown its rulers, and it has shown its secrets, but it will reveal nothing more easily. The depths are patient, and we are only visitors. The deeper chambers of the ruins stretch endlessly, their broken spires and fractured arches forming a labyrinth older than memory. The water here is thick with silence, and every movement feels magnified, each flicker of light or shadow echoing across the vast corridors. Life moves with careful patience, small amphipods navigating the walls, worms threading through crevices, and shrimp darting across arches, each fulfilling a role written over millennia. The predators we glimpsed in the last chamber are gone, yet their presence lingers in the ruins. Faint traces of hunting, disturbed sediment, displaced microbial mats, faint trails of light from bioluminescent flashes hint at activity that has passed moments ago, or perhaps centuries ago, for time seems stretched in this place. The ruins themselves are alive, not in motion, but in memory, holding echoes of every life that has passed through. Every spire and arch becomes a corridor to the unknown. Some towers are fractured, their tops vanished into darkness, leaving gaps where the abyss beyond seems endless. Currents carry mineral-rich water through these passages, feeding microbial life that sustains the smallest creatures. Even in silence, the ruins breathe. Life is subtle, patient, and unyielding. It thrives in patterns too slow or small for the surface world to notice. A sudden pulse of movement draws the eye. From a collapsed arch, a cephalopod drifts, translucent skin rippling with internal light. It hovers for a moment, tentacles curling and uncurling like a question posed to the abyss itself. Its presence is both graceful and unsettling, a reminder that even in places that seem abandoned, life has adapted to thrive, even flourish. Elsewhere, a ribbon-like siphonophore drifts across the open plain between spires, its tentacles stretching for meters. Its bioluminescence flickers in irregular pulses, capturing plankton and other drifting organisms. It is both predator and community, a living web of cooperation and survival. Each pulse, each flicker, is a reminder that life in the abyss is not solitary. Even in isolation, existence depends on connection. The ruins themselves are fragile. Sediment drifts slowly across floors, covering arches and spires alike. Currents erode delicate surfaces. A single collapse could erase centuries of structure, yet life persists, adapting to the changes, finding shelter in cracks, feeding in newly exposed corridors. The balance is delicate, yet unbroken. The silent ruins are not abandoned. They are carefully curated ecosystems, shaped by pressure, darkness, and time. As we drift past one of the largest towers, a faint shadow moves in the distance. It is massive, elongated, and ghostly, larger than any creature we have seen here. It does not swim like a fish, nor crawl like a crustacean. It drifts with a slow, deliberate grace, and for a moment, the ruins themselves seem to bow around it, the arches and columns dwarfing even the largest spires. This is the guardian of the ruins, the apex of this ancient world, a presence that has endured long before the first human eyes could imagine it. It moves without haste, fully aware of its surroundings, yet it seems patient, even contemplative. Perhaps it has watched generations of amphipods and shrimp drift across these spires. Perhaps it has witnessed the rise and fall of corridors, the collapse of towers, the slow accumulation of centuries of life. In this realm, longevity is survival and patience is power. The deeper we go, the more it becomes clear. The silent ruins are a threshold. They are not just monuments to the past. They are living, breathing ecosystems, guardians of secrets, and stages for battles both small and titanic. Every spire, every arch, every shadowed corridor holds clues, fragments of life that have endured in darkness longer than we can imagine. And yet, the abyss does not give all its answers. Beyond these ruins lies a greater darkness, deeper, older, more mysterious. What lies there has been untouched by light, untouched by observation, and touched by time as we measure it. The silent ruins are only the beginning, a prelude to a world the human eye has never seen, a world that waits at the very edge of understanding. As we drift away, leaving the spires behind, the ruins remain, ancient, fragile, alive. They are silent witnesses to the passage of life in the abyss, and a gateway to the unknown depths that lie ahead. The abyss opens wider as we descend. The ruins vanish behind us, leaving only darkness so complete it feels tangible, a thick, impenetrable veil. Light from our instruments barely scratches the black, illuminating only fragments of jagged walls, sediment plains, and drifting creatures. Here, the pressure is absolute, the silence overwhelming, and every movement feels like trespassing into a world that has existed untouched for eons. The water is dense with history, not the kind written in books, but the kind etched into every shadow, every column of sediment, every fracture in the ocean floor. Life here does not rush. It drifts, it waits, it endures. In this place, patience is a weapon, and survival is not about speed or strength, but about perfect timing. From the blackness, faint pulses of bioluminescence appear. They flicker across the abyss like distant stars, small creatures navigating corridors invisible to the eye. Tiny amphipods cling to surfaces, shrimp dart in calculated arcs, and worms thread through sediment like veins feeding a vast, unseen organism. Each organism carries on its quiet work, oblivious to the enormity of the world surrounding it. Then the first giant emerges, not the squid or the whale. Those are nearer the coral kingdoms and ruins. This is something different, a creature whose sheer scale bends the mind. Its body stretches across the field of vision, translucent, segmented, glowing faintly along its length. Tentacle-like appendages drift gently, probing the darkness, measuring the space, testing the currents. It moves not with urgency, but with intent, as if it knows the abyss in ways we cannot begin to comprehend. Closer, other forms drift into view. A lantern-like cephalopod, its body shaped like a long tube, pulses with internal light. Its tentacles extend across meters, sweeping slowly through the abyssal plains. There is no rush in its movements. It exists in perfect synchrony with the environment, its rhythm dictated by the slow pulse of life and death that governs this world. Even the smaller predators are alien. Fish with elongated, needle-like jaws glide silently through the darkness, sensing prey with eyes adapted to the faintest glimmer. They do not attack recklessly. Every strike is calculated, every motion precise. The survival of the abyss is a balance of patience, hunger, and light, and these creatures are its most exacting representatives. Between these giants and hunters, bioluminescent colonies drift like living constellations. Some pulse in soft rhythms, others flicker irregularly, a cosmic dance of invisible signals. These lights are not decoration. They are communication, lures, warnings. In the absence of sunlight, life has invented its own, turning darkness into a medium of survival. The entire abyss seems to vibrate with these signals, a symphony of light conducted on a scale beyond human perception. And then, glimpses of forms we cannot classify appear. Some are long, ribbon-like, undulating with impossible flexibility. Others are bulbous, translucent, with appendages that bend in unnatural angles. For a moment, it is impossible to tell predator from prey, structure from organism. Everything here seems to blur the line between biology and architecture, between life and the environment itself. The deeper we venture, the more it becomes clear. These creatures are adapted to an abyss that humans cannot survive in, a realm defined not by our understanding, but by pressure, darkness, and the endless passage of time. They are older than we can imagine, survivors of a world that has been shaping itself for millions of years. And yet, the abyss still holds secrets beyond even these forms. Shadows move where no light reaches, where no instrument can penetrate. Something waits in the ultimate depths, beyond observation, beyond comprehension, beyond the edge of what we have seen. The abyss thickens around us, black as ink, broken only by the faint flickers of distant bioluminescence. The pressure is immense, a force that could crush steel. Yet the creatures here thrive. Every movement is deliberate, every pulse of light purposeful. In this realm, time stretches, almost dissolving. Minutes feel like hours, hours like centuries. From the shadows, a massive form emerges. It drifts slowly, wings undulating, body translucent but immense. The deep-sea ray, but unlike any surface relative, a ghost of evolution's imagination. Its fins ripple like flowing silk, each movement precise, deliberate, controlled. It scans the plains of sediment below with eyes adapted to the faintest flashes of light. Here, stealth is a weapon, patience a predator, and this ray is both observer and hunter. Smaller predators follow, almost invisible. Needle-jawed fish glide past, jaws extended, stalking shadows among the faint spires of rock and sediment. Their bodies shimmer with internal bioluminescence, creating flashes of ghostly light that confuse prey and communicate silently with others of their kind. Every flicker carries intention, every pulse a warning, a signal, or a lure. Life here is language, spoken without sound. Then, far below, something even larger begins to stir. Its movement is subtle, almost imperceptible, yet the sediment trembles slightly with each shift. This is a behemoth of the deep, older than memory, vast in proportion. Tentacles ripple through water thick with darkness and bioluminescent. Organs glow faintly along its length. It is a predator unlike any above, moving with a patience that has endured for millions of years. Its presence alone bends the currents, reshaping the abyssal plains as it drifts silently through its kingdom. Among these giants, life teems in forms that blur the line between biology and architecture. Ribbon-like siphonophores stretch across open plains, colonies of thousands functioning as a single organism. Bioluminescent worms cling to fractured spires, feeding on microbial mats while illuminating surfaces for predators above. Small crustaceans scuttle between columns, unnoticed yet crucial, sustaining an entire food chain hidden in darkness. Everywhere, light dances like a living thread. Lantern-like fish flicker in irregular pulses, communicating, luring, hunting. Creatures adapt to its rhythm, their behaviors orchestrated in a network invisible to the human eye. Shadows stretch and merge, prey and predator weaving a tapestry of survival, each motion precise, each strategy honed over millions of years. The abyss is a theater, and the actors know no fear, only instinct and timing. Deeper still, in regions untouched by even faint bioluminescence, shapes begin to appear as silhouettes against nothingness. Forms that defy easy description, bodies elongated beyond recognition, appendages bent in angles impossible for surface life, translucence so complete it seems water itself flows through them. These are the inhabitants of the final edge, creatures evolved for silence, darkness, and crushing pressure. Their existence is testament to the extremity of adaptation. And yet, the deeper we venture, the more it becomes clear that even this is not the abyss's limit. Shadows move where no light reaches, beyond instrument detection, hinting at life so immense, so alien, that it has remained entirely hidden from observation. These are the rulers of the deep, beings whose presence has shaped this ecosystem over eons, unknown to humanity, existing on the edge of perception itself. The abyss has revealed kingdoms of coral, ruins older than memory, predators of unimaginable scale, and life forms adapted beyond belief. Yet the edge of the unknown remains, a threshold beyond comprehension. It is here that life exists in its most extraordinary forms, where survival is perfection, and where the ocean's deepest mysteries are preserved in silence. To gaze into this darkness is to confront both awe and humility. The abyss stretches onward, infinite and patient, and somewhere, beyond the reach of light and understanding, the greatest secrets of Earth's oceans wait, silent and eternal, for those brave enough to venture further. The abyss grows colder, darker, and more silent with every descent. Even the faintest flickers of bioluminescence seem to hesitate here, as if the darkness itself absorbs their light. Currents shift subtly, stirring the sediment plains, hinting at life moving just beyond perception. The edge of the unknown is not empty. It is full of patience, of waiting, of creatures shaped by a world utterly alien to our own. A shadow drifts across the black. It is massive, its body elongated, wings or fins rippling in patterns too precise, too deliberate to be random. It moves with a slow elegance, surveying its domain with awareness that feels almost conscious. This is not merely a predator. It is an apex entity, a ruler of a realm where time has no measure, a guardian of the unseen. Its presence bends the space around it, currents spiraling, sediment rising in soft clouds with each deliberate drift. Below it, smaller predators hunt with meticulous care. Needle-jawed fish dart among the folds of sediment, siphonophores stretch like living threads, and translucent cephalopods curl around fractured arches, their soft bodies pulsing with eerie internal light. Each movement is calculated, each flicker of bioluminescence a tool for survival. In this world, every life form is both hunter and hunted, every shadow a story of adaptation written in the language of darkness. And then, deeper still, the abyss reveals something more extraordinary. Structures that defy explanation. Columns of organic and mineral matter rise from the seafloor like frozen towers. Arches stretch across plains that seem endless, and massive spires, fractured yet intact, suggest an intelligence beyond what has been seen before. Are these remnants of ancient life, sculpted over eons? Or something else entirely, shaped by forces that no human has observed? The ruins hold their secrets as silently as the creatures that move through them. Through these colossal corridors, shadows twist in forms unimaginable. Ribbon-like beings drift past, tentacles curling in impossible arcs. Bulbous, translucent bodies glide over fractured plains. Some glow faintly. Others are invisible, revealed only when they move, tracing patterns across the darkness. It is a ballet of survival, elegance intertwined with danger, a choreography older than memory. The apex entity drifts closer to one of the largest spires, its massive form silhouetted against faint glimmers of bioluminescent colonies. Its movements are slow but purposeful. It pauses, almost as if inspecting the structure, and then releases a soft pulse of light along its body. The surrounding water shimmers subtly, illuminating creatures nearby. Amphipods, worms, shrimp, and tiny predators, each performing its role in the ecosystem. Life here is synchronized, yet entirely alien. And then, the silence deepens further. Even the pulse of light seems to waver, as if the abyss itself is holding its breath. In this moment, the scale of what we have witnessed becomes clear. Coral kingdoms, silent ruins, predators beyond imagination, all have been prelude. The ultimate depth, the edge of understanding, waits just beyond the veil. There is life here that humans cannot survive alongside, forms that have never been observed, adaptations beyond comprehension, and intelligence in ways we cannot yet measure. As we drift away, leaving the apex entity and the hidden corridors behind, the abyss stretches infinitely before us, silent and patient. The creatures, the ruins, the shadows, all are reminders that the ocean's deepest mysteries are preserved in darkness. They are eternal, untouched by light, unseen by human eyes, existing in a world that has continued without us for millions of years. The edge of the unknown is no longer a concept. It is alive, it is immense, it is eternal. And it whispers, silently, to those willing to witness it. The depths are infinite, the secrets endless, and the journey has only just begun. Here, at the threshold of comprehension, we are reminded that human curiosity is both insignificant and magnificent. For every secret the abyss has revealed, countless more lie waiting, patient, silent, eternal. And so we leave, drifting slowly toward the shallower plains, hearts racing, minds humbled. The abyss remains, infinite, dark and untamed, a world older than memory, stranger than imagination, and more beautiful than we could have ever imagined. As we begin to drift back from the abyss, the darkness does not lighten. Instead, it stretches behind us, a reminder that this world continues in silence, vast and untamed. The edge of the unknown is not a destination, but a threshold, one that humanity has only begun to glimpse and perhaps will never fully cross. Every shadow, every pulse of bioluminescence, every undulating creature is a fragment of a story older than human memory. The apex entity drifts slowly, colossal and silent, weaving through the fractured spires like a ghost among monuments. Its glowing pulses illuminate the ruins, revealing life clinging to walls, darting across sediment, or drifting in the currents. Each organism moves in precise harmony with the abyss, a network of existence imperceptible yet profoundly ordered. Here, life has learned patience, endurance, and subtlety on a scale that surpasses imagination. Even the smallest creatures, amphipods scuttling along arches, worms threading through crevices, shrimp dancing between spires, contribute to this immense ecosystem. Their movements ripple through the water, disturbing sediment just enough to feed others or reshape the terrain. Nothing is wasted. Nothing is random. Every flicker, every pulse, every motion is a note in a symphony that has played for millions of years, unheard and unseen by the surface world. We glimpse fleeting silhouettes of giant siphonophores, their tentacles stretching across plains as long as blue whales. Ribbon-like creatures undulate, translucent and ethereal, while deep-sea rays glide silently, surveying their domain. Needle-jawed fish hunt with mechanical precision, and cephalopods, ghost-like in their grace, drift past columns taller than human imagination. Life in this darkness is a testament to adaptation, evolution, and resilience in a place untouched by sunlight, untouched by time as we measure it. And yet, the ruins themselves speak of something beyond biology. Towers, arches, spires, some organic, some mineral, some unidentifiable, rise from the sea floor like echoes of an intelligence older than memory. They are both home and monument, habitat and history. The apex entity drifts among them, its presence alone bending the currents, its sheer size dwarfing the tallest spires. It is ruler, guardian, and witness to an ecosystem both alien and beautiful. Even as we ascend, moving toward lighter waters, the abyss does not end. Its depths continue beyond reach, beyond comprehension, hiding creatures and structures that human eyes may never see. The unknown stretches infinitely, patient and eternal, a reminder of how small, yet how curious we are. And there is awe in that humility. For every secret the abyss has revealed, coral kingdoms thriving in darkness, silent ruins older than civilization, predators beyond imagination, life forms evolved beyond belief, countless mysteries remain. Shadows that move beyond perception, beings shaped by eons of pressure and darkness, ecosystems functioning in ways we cannot yet understand. The ocean's deepest truths are preserved in silence, invisible to the surface world, eternal in their patient perfection. The final light flickers across the spires one last time, illuminating a labyrinth of life and history interwoven. The ruins, the creatures, the shadows, all remain timeless and untouched. We leave the edge of the unknown behind, hearts humbled, minds expanded, consciousness stretched by the realization that the world beneath the waves is vaster and stranger than we can ever fully comprehend. And as the surface draws near, sunlight cutting through the water above, the abyss whispers one final truth. It is eternal, immense, and alive. Its mysteries are not lost. They are waiting, patient and silent, for the next explorer brave enough to venture into the dark. The journey ends here, for now, but the edge of the unknown remains, infinite, untamed, and waiting.